Have you ever wondered why some people seem to move through life with a quiet strength? Why opportunities, respect, and peace seem to find them without them having to chase after it? From the dawn of time, humanity has been searching for that secret. A life where things finally make sense, where the chaos outside no longer shakes the calm within. Most people spend their entire lives chasing it through money, status, or control. They run faster, work harder, climb higher. And yet, the higher they climb, the emptier they feel. It's like trying to fill a broken cup. The Stoics saw this pattern long before us. They realized that fulfillment isn't found out there, it's built in here. The secret isn't to master the world, but to master yourself. Because when your mind aligns with reason, virtue, and discipline, something powerful happens. You stop chasing what's outside you, and it begins to come toward you. Peace, opportunities, respect. They're not rewards for luck. They're reflections of your inner order. This isn't some mystical formula or New Age magic. It's the ancient law of cause and character. When you live with integrity, clarity, and strength, the world naturally rearranges itself around your steadiness. People trust you. Circumstances open for you. Not because you forced them to, but because you became the kind of person they're drawn to. Think about it. How many times have you met someone who doesn't shout to be heard, doesn't compete to prove themselves, yet somehow everyone listens when they speak? That's not charisma. That's inner mastery. The Stoics called it self-command, the quiet authority that comes from ruling your own emotions, your own impulses, your own mind. And when you do, you begin to see life differently. You stop being a leaf blown by the wind and become the sailor who knows how to use that same wind to reach his destination. So, what if the life you're chasing isn't running away from you, but waiting for you to slow down and master yourself first? Because the truth is simple. When you govern your mind, you govern your world. And that's where the Stoic path begins. Not in chasing more, but in becoming more. This is the path of self-mastery. It's not easy. It's not instant. But once you take the first step, you'll realize that the freedom you've been searching for was never out there. It was always within you. Music swells. Fade to black. Title appears. The Stoic path, rule yourself and the world will follow. Soft ambient music fades in visuals of ocean waves, shifting skies. There's a quiet truth that most people never realize until life forces it on them. You can't control the storm. You can't control politics, the weather, or what other people choose to do. And yet, we spend so much of our lives trying, fighting, worrying, stressing, as if shouting at the wind could make it change direction. The Stoics had a different approach. They believed that peace doesn't come from changing the world, but from changing how you face it. Imagine a sailor caught in a storm. He doesn't curse the sea or argue with the wind. He adjusts the sails. That's what acceptance really means. Not surrender, but strategy. It's not giving up control. It's understanding where control truly begins. Think about it. How much time have you wasted replaying an argument, trying to make someone see your point, or worrying about something completely beyond your reach? Each time you do, you hand your peace of mind over to the uncontrollable. And the Stoics remind us, that is the real loss of freedom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of this rule. The economy may shift. People may disappoint you. Plans may fall apart, but your response, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, that's yours. Always has been. When you learn to focus your energy only on what you can influence, something beautiful happens. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start moving through it with quiet strength. This mindset doesn't make you passive. It makes you precise. Instead of fighting the storm, you navigate it. Instead of wasting energy on the impossible, you channel it into what truly matters: your growth, your discipline, your character. Acceptance is clarity. It's the moment you stop trying to move mountains and start learning how to climb them. So the next time chaos hits, before you react, before you complain, before you spiral. Ask yourself one simple Stoic question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, act with excellence. Because that's where freedom begins. Not when the world calms down, but when you do. And that's what the first Stoic rule teaches us. You don't need to control the storm to find peace. You only need to learn how to steer your ship. Music swells, fade to black, text appears. Rule has shown. Accept what you can't control. Master what you can. Soft cinematic music fades in. Visuals of city lights, people scrolling phones, chasing pleasure. Then a quiet scene of someone training or writing early in the morning. We live in an age that worships pleasure. Everything around us whispers the same message. Do what feels good. Follow your heart. Indulge your desires. But here's the truth. No one tells you the more you chase comfort, the weaker you become. And the more you obey every impulse, the less free you are. The Stoics saw this long before us. They understood that discipline isn't punishment, it's power. Because every time you control an impulse, you remind yourself that you're the master, not the slave. Epictetus said, "It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because in the moment, giving in feels easier to hit snooze, to skip the workout, to buy what you don't need, to stay silent when you should speak the truth." But here's the catch. Every time you surrender to comfort, it takes a piece of you. The modern world sells instant gratification as freedom, but real freedom is doing what's right even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing action over excuses. It's training when no one's watching. It's saying no when your mind screams yes. Think of discipline like a blacksmith's fire. It's hot, uncomfortable, sometimes painful, but it shapes you into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. Marcus Aurelius was a man surrounded by luxury, a Roman emperor who could have anything he wanted. Yet, he practiced moderation every single day, not because he hated pleasure, but because he refused to become its prisoner. He knew that indulgence dulls the mind and that self-control keeps it sharp. You see, discipline doesn't kill joy, it refines it. When you've earned something, it means more. When you've worked for it, it lasts longer. That's why disciplined people seem calmer, more grounded, because they don't chase highs. They build meaning. So ask yourself, what do you want to be? A slave to every craving, every impulse, every distraction, or someone who commands their own life with quiet strength? Because discipline isn't about saying no to life. It's about saying yes to your higher self. It's about reclaiming control in a world that profits from your weakness. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. Freedom comes from knowing you could but choosing not to. And that's what the Stoics understood. That self-control is not the end of joy. It's the beginning of real power. Music rises slowly. Closing line appears on screen. Rule #2. Discipline over desire. Because mastery begins with saying no. MP, 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 MP do, MP do. Soft piano and slow motion visuals. Someone working late, failing, reflecting. Most people live by one question. What will I get from this? But the Stoics live by a far greater one. Is this the right thing to do? That single shift in thinking from gain to goodness changes everything. Because when your focus is only on the outcome, your peace will rise and fall with results you can't control. The promotion that didn't come, the deal that fell through, the person who didn't say thank you. But when you live by virtue, by what's right, you build a foundation that nothing can shake. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple, direct, brutal in its honesty. In maybe a Bursius's loft, Savorius Zagras, in Sagras in the Bursiuses. And yet, it's one of the hardest rules to live by because our world constantly measures worth in rewards. We're told to chase success, applause, numbers, likes, wins. But what if true success isn't about what you get, but about who you become in the process? Imagine this. Two people work just as hard. One acts out of greed, the other out of integrity. The first may win faster, but the second sleeps in peace. And in the long run, peace always outlasts profit. Virtue isn't some old philosophical word. It's practical. It's the compass that keeps you steady when everything around you changes. It means choosing honesty when lying would be easier, choosing patience when anger would feel better, choosing courage when fear whispers, quit. The Stoics knew that the outcome is never guaranteed. You can do everything right and still lose. You can give your best and still fail. But integrity means this. You walk away knowing you did what was right, no matter the result. And that kind of peace, you can't buy it. You can't fake it. You earn it every day, one decision at a time. In a world obsessed with winning, being guided by virtue is a radical act. It's quiet. It's unseen. It's not glamorous. But over time, people start to notice. They trust you. They respect you. They turn to you when chaos comes, because they know your character doesn't change with circumstance. The paradox of Stoicism is this. When you stop living for results, better ones often follow, because people are drawn to integrity the way ships are drawn to a lighthouse. So, the next time you face a choice, pause and ask, not, what will I gain? But what is right? Because in the end, the greatest victory isn't in what you win. It's in the kind of person you refuse to stop being. Music swells. Fade to black. Text on screen. Rule #3. Live by virtue, not by outcome, because integrity is its own reward. Soft ambient music. Visuals of crowded streets, endless talking, notifications lighting up a phone screen, then a sudden cut to silence. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare form of power. Everywhere you go, someone's speaking online, on screens, in meetings. But how often do people actually listen? We live in a time where words are thrown around like confetti, bright, constant, and meaningless once they settle. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus gave a simple but profound piece of advice. Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary. At first, it sounds almost impossible. How can silence be strength when everyone else is shouting to be heard? But that's exactly why it works. Because when you learn to speak less, your words start to matter more. Think about the people you truly respect, the ones who don't rush to fill every silence, who wait, observe, and then speak with calm precision. When they finally say something, everyone listens. That's not coincidence, that's discipline. Silence is where reflection grows. It's where observation sharpens. It's where you begin to understand instead of just react. The Stoics believed that words should be like arrows, released only after careful aim, never wasted, never wild. But today, we speak to fill the emptiness, to prove we exist, to respond faster than we think. And yet, the one who controls their tongue controls their reputation, their focus, and their peace. Seneca once said, "Speech that is true and unadorned is enough." That means you don't need to impress, you need to mean it. One honest sentence can build trust faster than 1,000 clever ones. In leadership, in relationships, in business, credibility is built not on how much you say, but on how consistently true your words are. Think about it. How many conflicts, regrets, or broken friendships could have been avoided if someone had paused for just a moment before speaking? How much more peaceful would your life be if you only said what needed to be said, nothing more, nothing less? Speaking less doesn't mean you stay silent forever. It means you value your words enough to use them wisely. When you do, people start to lean in. Your voice becomes rare and therefore powerful. So the next time you're about to speak, ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Does it help? If not, let silence do the talking. Because in a noisy world, your calm, deliberate words will cut through. Not because they're loud, but because they carry the quiet weight of truth. Music swells softly, fade to black. Rule #4. Speak less. Mean every word. Soft cinematic music fades in visuals of people waking up early to train, cold showers, walking alone in the rain. A calm, reflective voice begins. We live in a world built for comfort. Soft beds, fast food, endless entertainment. Everything around us is designed to make life easier, smoother, and yet, despite all this comfort, people today are more anxious, more fragile, and more lost than ever. The Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. They understood a timeless truth. Comfort weakens you. That's why they practiced what they called voluntary discomfort, choosing small hardships today so they'd be strong enough to face the real ones tomorrow. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, and would sleep on the floor, wear rough clothes, and eat plain food, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he wanted to remind himself, I can live well with less. He knew that if luxury controlled him, then fear would too, the fear of losing it. By stripping away comfort, he stripped away dependency. And in doing so, he discovered real freedom. Think about your own life. How often do you avoid discomfort? You skip the workout because it's cold. You avoid the difficult conversation because it's awkward. You cling to routine because it feels safe. But every time you do, a small part of your strength fades. Now imagine doing the opposite. Waking up early, pushing your limits, choosing what's right over what's easy. At first it burns. It's uncomfortable, but day by day, something shifts. You start to realize that you're capable of more than you thought. You begin to trust yourself. Voluntary discomfort isn't about pain. It's about preparation. Because life will test you. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply throws the storm your way. And in that moment, your comfort won't protect you. Your resilience will. Maybe for you, it's taking a cold shower. Maybe it's fasting for a day. Maybe it's facing that fear you've been avoiding. Each act of controlled hardship builds a stronger mind, and a strong mind is unstoppable. When you can handle discomfort willingly, you stop fearing it when it comes without warning. You walk into challenges with calm eyes and a steady heart because you've been there before by choice. And here's the paradox. When you can live without comfort, you begin to enjoy it more. A simple meal tastes richer. A warm bed feels like luxury. Gratitude replaces greed. The Stoics didn't seek misery. They sought mastery. And they found it by walking straight into what most people spend their lives running from. So ask yourself, are you training your strength or protecting your weakness? Because comfort never made anyone strong, but challenge chosen wisely always will. Music rises fade to black. Text appears. Rule #5. Practice voluntary discomfort because comfort is the silent killer of strength. Soft piano fades in visuals of city traffic, arguments, people reacting in anger, contrasted with someone sitting still, breathing slowly, calm amidst chaos. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a small invisible space. And in that space lies your greatest power, the power to choose. Most people never see it. They live on autopilot, reacting to every insult, every inconvenience, every fear. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and rage takes over. Someone criticizes them, and their confidence collapses. They believe emotions just happen to them. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that while you can't control what happens, you can always control what happens next. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To control your emotions doesn't mean to suppress them. It means to understand them, to step back long enough to decide whether they serve you or sabotage you. Anger can destroy in seconds what took years to build. Fear can keep you frozen at the door of opportunity. Jealousy can rot your peace from the inside out. But awareness changes everything. When you pause even for a single breath, you reclaim control. You remind yourself, this feeling is not me. It's a signal, not a command. The Stoics practiced this daily. They didn't wait for chaos to arrive, they prepared for it. They rehearsed hardship in their minds, imagining insults, loss, and failure, so that when those moments came, they were ready, calm, steady, and unshaken. Think about the last time you lost your temper. Did it help? Did the outburst solve the problem? Now imagine if, instead of reacting, you paused. You observed the emotion rising like a wave and chose to let it pass instead of drowning in it. That is strength. That is mastery. The calm person isn't emotionless, they're in command. And people can feel that. They trust you. They look to you when everyone else is losing control. Because stillness in the storm is magnetic. Over time, this practice transforms you. The gap between stimulus and response grows wider. You begin to act, not react. You stop being a puppet pulled by anger, fear, or ego. You become the one holding the strings. The world will test you: traffic, betrayal, disappointment, loss. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them with grace. So the next time you feel emotion taking over, pause and ask yourself, will this matter in a year? If not, let it go. If yes, face it with reason, not rage. Because the one who controls their emotions doesn't need to control the world. They already rule what truly matters themselves. Music swells fade to black. Text appears. Rule #6. Control your emotions before they control you. That's in 10. Gentle cinematic music begins visuals of an artist painting, an athlete training, a person writing late into the night scenes of effort without guarantee. Most people live like gamblers, placing emotional bets on every action. They work hard expecting reward. They love expecting love back. They help expecting gratitude in return. And when life doesn't pay out as they hoped, they feel cheated, betrayed, or broken. But the Stoics taught a simple truth. Peace begins when attachment ends. That's why they live by this rule. Focus on the process. Release the outcome. Because the outcome is never yours. You can influence it, prepare for it, but you can't control it. The weather, the market, the opinions of others, the timing of fate, all of it lives beyond your reach. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly, just that you do the right thing. The Stoics' focus is on one thing only, doing their part with excellence. Like an archer who perfects their stance, their breath, their aim, but releases the arrow, knowing the wind may still change its course. Success for the Stoic isn't hitting the target. It's shooting with skill, grace, and integrity. Think about it. How much of your stress, your frustration, your exhaustion comes not from the work itself, but from your obsession with the result? You want things to go your way, on your time, by your design. But life doesn't care about our schedules. It unfolds on its own terms. When you release the outcome, you release the anxiety tied to it. You stop trying to force life to fit your expectations and start flowing with reality as it is. This doesn't mean apathy. It means freedom. Because paradoxically, when you stop being desperate for results, you perform better, think clearer, and endure longer. Your actions come from purpose, not panic. Your work becomes art, not a transaction. Seneca reminded us that fortune's wheel always turns. If your happiness depends on where you sit on it, you'll always be unstable. But if your happiness is grounded in effort, in process, in virtue, no outcome can take that away. The Stoic doesn't ask, did I win? They ask, did I give my best? And when the answer is yes, they sleep peacefully no matter the score. So the next time life tests your patience, when the results don't come, when the recognition doesn't arrive, remember this: your job is the effort. The result is not your burden. Show up fully. Act with integrity. Let the rest go. Because true success isn't about controlling the ending. It's about mastering the way you live the story. Music swells fade to black. Text appears. Rule #7. Focus on the process. Release the outcome. Soft, reflective background. Music visuals of friends laughing, gossiping, scrolling phones together, contrasted with someone sitting alone reading, walking quietly, or journaling. Your mind is like a garden. Every person you allow close to you is a gardener. Some plant flowers, and others plant weeds. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." And what shapes those thoughts more than anything? The people you surround yourself with. Spend enough time around the angry, and you'll start to feel tension before they even speak. Spend your days with the lazy, and soon effort will feel optional. But surround yourself with people who live with discipline, focus, and purpose, and your life begins to take the same shape. The Stoics knew that even the strongest mind is influenced by its environment. Seneca compared it to breathing in smoke. Stay in it long enough, and it seeps into your lungs. That's why choosing your company isn't arrogance, it's protection. You're not judging others, you're guarding your peace. In the modern world, company extends far beyond physical presence. It's the voices you follow online, the podcasts you listen to, the conversations you engage in. Every word, every opinion, every post, they all leave fingerprints on your mind. So ask yourself, who are you letting shape your thoughts? Are they sharpening you or dulling you? Do they challenge you to grow or comfort you in mediocrity? The Stoics valued the few over the many. They believed one virtuous friend was worth more than 100 agreeable companions. Someone who tells you the truth when it's hard. Someone who lives with integrity, not popularity. Sometimes, choosing your company wisely means walking alone for a while, and that's okay. Because solitude, when used well, isn't loneliness. It's refinement. It's the forge where your character is strengthened, so that when the right people do appear, you can meet them as your best self. In a noisy, distracted world, your circle will determine your direction. Your habits, your mindset, they all grow from the soil of your surroundings. So be deliberate, limit time with those who drain your energy. Seek out people who inspire your discipline, your honesty, your courage. And when you find them, value them deeply. Because over time, the quality of your company becomes the quality of your life. And the right company doesn't just change your days, it shapes your destiny. Music builds, soft golden light on screen. Rule hash height. Choose your company wisely because who you're around is who you become. Somber yet peaceful music fades in visuals of a sunset, an old photo fading, a clock ticking softly, and someone staring thoughtfully out a window. There's one truth that unites us all, rich or poor, powerful or forgotten, loved or lonely, we will die. Most people spend their lives trying not to think about it. They hide from it, distract themselves from it, pretend that time is endless. But the Stoics believe the opposite, that remembering death is the only way to truly live. They called it memento mori. Remember, you will die. At first it sounds grim, even dark. But it's not a meditation on loss, it's a reminder of life. Because when you remember that every day could be your last, the small annoyances lose their grip, the petty arguments fade, and what truly matters finally comes into focus. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you carry this awareness, you stop postponing your purpose. You stop waiting for someday. You realize that someday isn't promised, but today still is. How many dreams have died waiting for the right time? How many words of love or forgiveness were never spoken? Because someone assumed there'd be another chance? Memento mori strips away that illusion. It doesn't make you morbid, it makes you intentional. It teaches you to live not recklessly, but urgently, to use each day as if it truly mattered. Seneca wrote, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Death isn't, the enemy waste is." When you face your mortality, you also face your truth. You begin to ask the questions that matter. Am I living in alignment with who I want to be? If I died today, would I be proud of how I spent my time? The Stoic doesn't fear death. They make peace with it. And that peace gives them power. The courage to act, to speak honestly, to endure hardship without complaint. Because when you accept that the end can come at any moment, you stop being afraid of beginnings. You stop waiting for life to happen, and you start creating it. Memento mori isn't about gloom. It's about gratitude for breath, for sunlight, for another morning to become better than yesterday. So each day remind yourself, if today were my last, how would I live it? And then live that way. Because the goal isn't to avoid death. It's to meet it without regret, knowing you lived fully, bravely, and true. Music swells softly fade to black. Text appears. Rule #9. Memento mori, remember you will die, and let that remind you to live. Calm cinematic music fades in visuals of waves meeting the shore, seasons changing, trees swaying in the wind, sunrise over the mountains. There's a rhythm to the universe, a natural order that everything follows. The sun rises, the tides shift, the seasons change. And yet, among all living things, only humans resist this flow. We fight the inevitable. We demand that life bend to our desires. And in doing so, we create our own suffering. The Stoics called this rule live in accordance with nature. It sounds poetic, but it's one of the most practical teachings you'll ever learn. Because nature isn't just the world around you. It's also your own inner nature. To live in harmony with nature means to live in harmony with reality. To understand what is within your control and what isn't. To stop wishing the wind would stop blowing. And instead, learn how to sail with it. Life has seasons. Just like the earth. There's a time for growth, a time for loss, a time for stillness, and a time for rebirth. When we cling to one season and resist the next, we suffer. But when we move with life instead of against it, we find peace. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "You were made for this world, not against it." To act in accordance with your nature is to act in accordance with reason. Our nature as human beings is rational, social, and moral. We're meant to think, to contribute, to care. When we act out of anger, greed, or fear, we betray that nature, and conflict begins inside us. But when our actions align with conscience, with reason, something shifts. We stop fighting ourselves. You've felt it before, those rare moments when everything feels aligned. When your thoughts, actions, and values move in the same direction. When you stop forcing and start flowing. That's what it means to live according to nature. And here's the paradox. The more you stop resisting life, the more life opens up for you. You stop wasting energy on what should be and start using it to work with what is. This doesn't mean passivity, it means alignment. It means acting decisively where you can make a difference and accepting with dignity what you cannot change. In the Stoic view, there's no higher form of success than to live in accordance with your true nature, to live with reason, courage, discipline, and kindness. When you do, you stop needing the world to change for you. You simply change your way of being within it. Because peace doesn't come from controlling the current. It comes from learning how to move with it. Music swells softly, visuals of someone walking into the sunrise. Rule #9. Live in accordance with nature. Stop fighting life. Dramatic but hopeful music begins visuals of people failing, facing rejection, training in rain, rebuilding after loss. Every obstacle you face comes with a choice. You can see it as a curse, or you can see it as a classroom. Most people see misfortune as unfair. They say, "Why me? Why now?" But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that life's obstacles aren't interruptions, they're instructions. Each challenge, each setback, each heartbreak is an invitation to grow stronger. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most powerful lines in all of philosophy. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Read that again. The obstacle isn't blocking your path. It is the path. Think about it. Every person you admire, every story that inspired you was built on adversity. A soldier who finds courage in battle. A parent who stays strong in loss. An entrepreneur who builds again after failure. They all share one thing in common. They didn't let pain define them. They turned it into power. The Stoics understood that the world is unpredictable. You can't control its storms, but you can control what those storms do to you. Fire melts wax, but it hardens clay. The same event that breaks one person. Ask yourself when hardship hits, what do you become? Bitter or better? Do you curse the obstacle or do you thank it for sharpening you? Because life is a forge, not a comfort zone. Every setback, every betrayal, every no is a test of your inner architecture. And here's the secret. The obstacle isn't there to punish you. It's there to reveal you, to show you what you're made of when comfort is stripped away. Epictetus, who was born a slave, understood this deeply. He said, "Difficulties show what men are. Good fortune conceals them." He knew that character isn't built when things go right. It's revealed when everything goes wrong. So when you face resistance, don't run from it. Study it. Ask, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this, not escape it? Because that's what Stoicism truly is. Not avoiding pain, but transforming it. Not wishing for ease, but learning to rise through struggle. When you can do that, you become someone life can no longer break, only strengthen. So the next time life throws you a wall, don't waste time wishing it away. Climb it, build on it, let it make you unshakable. Because in the end, obstacles don't block the path. They are the path. Music swells visuals of rising sun, someone standing tall on a mountain ridge. Rule Hashin 1, turn obstacles into strength. What stands in your way becomes your way. Gentle cinematic music begins visuals of a city in motion. Traffic rushing, people talking fast, phones ringing, then a quiet shot of one person moving calmly through it all. The world moves fast. Everyone is rushing, chasing time, chasing success, chasing noise. But the Stoics knew something most people have forgotten. You don't have to slow the world to find peace. You just have to slow your mind. Stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of clarity. It's standing in the middle of chaos and saying, I will not be moved. Marcus Aurelius led armies, ruled an empire, faced betrayal, plague, and war. Yet his writings radiate calm. How? Because his peace didn't depend on the world outside. It came from commanding the world within. He understood that stillness isn't passive. It's power under control. It's the difference between a storm and the eye of the storm. The Stoic doesn't run from action, they move through it with awareness. They act decisively, but never desperately. They speak firmly, but never in anger. They lead without losing themselves. In a noisy world, that kind of calm becomes magnetic. You can feel it. The coworker who never panics under pressure, the parent who speaks softly even when the house is chaos, the leader who doesn't yell, yet everyone listens. That's not luck, that's discipline of mind. We often think peace comes after we finish everything, after the bills are paid, after the problems are solved, after life finally calms down. But life never truly calms down. There will always be another deadline, another challenge. Peace isn't what happens when the noise stops. Peace is what you build inside the noise. The Stoics trained this like a muscle. They practiced awareness in motion, breathing deeply before decisions, pausing before reacting, asking, what's within my control right now? And that question alone separated them from the panic of the crowd. Stillness doesn't mean doing less. It means doing what matters with complete presence. When your mind is still, your actions become sharper, cleaner, more effective. You stop wasting energy on worry and start channeling it into what actually moves you forward. In a world addicted to urgency, true calm becomes your competitive advantage because people follow those who stay grounded while others lose their balance. So the next time life feels too loud, don't try to silence the world. Quiet yourself. Take one breath. Return to reason. Act. But act from stillness. Because calm isn't found in retreat, it's found in mastery. It's not the absence of movement. It's the art of moving without being moved. Music swells, visuals of waves rolling calmly. Sunrise over a steady horizon. Rule Hashin 2. Calm in motion stillness is not the end of action, it's the source of it. Cinematic orchestral music begins softly visuals of sunrise breaking over the horizon, waves hitting cliffs, a man walking calmly through the city, as the world moves around him. At the heart of Stoicism lies one timeless truth. You cannot control the world, but you can always control yourself. And that simple truth changes everything. When you look back through these 12 rules, accepting what you can't control, choosing discipline over desire, living by virtue instead of outcome, speaking less but with purpose, embracing discomfort, mastering emotion, focusing on process, guarding your company, remembering death, living in accordance with nature, turning obstacles into strength, and finding stillness within action, you begin to see the pattern. Every rule leads to the same destination: self-mastery. Not perfection, not power over others, but power over yourself, your impulses, your fears, your doubts, your distractions, because that's where true freedom lives. Not in what you own or what people think of you, but in the quiet confidence that nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you. The Stoics didn't live easy lives. They faced betrayal, war, exile, poverty, and loss. But through it all, they learned to remain steady, not because life spared them, but because they stopped needing it to. And that's the shift we all must make. You don't need a world that's calmer. You need a mind that is. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need the strength to stay upright in imperfect ones. You don't need more control. You just need to master the small circle that is truly yours. Your thoughts, your actions, your responses. When you do that, you stop chasing life, and life starts moving toward you. Opportunities find you. People trust you. Peace follows you. Not because you forced it, but because you've become the kind of person it belongs to. Music swells slightly, visuals of fire, iron being forged, symbolizing character. Character isn't built overnight. It's forged, hammered, heated, cooled, and tested, one choice at a time. You'll fail. You'll slip. You'll forget. But that's okay. The Stoics never aimed to be flawless. They aimed to return to the path again and again, until wisdom became instinct and virtue became nature. That's what it means to live stoically. Not cold or detached, but awake, calm, aware, unshaken, able to love deeply, act bravely, and endure quietly. And in the end, that's all any of us can truly ask for. Not a life without storms, but a heart that remains steady through them. So when the noise of the world grows too loud, when anger rises, when fear whispers, when the path feels unclear, return to these rules. Read them, reflect on them, live them, because they are not just ancient words. They are tools, tested for centuries. The Dunexted Maked, waiting for you to pick them up. Remember, you do not control the river, but you can learn how to move with it. And when you do, it will carry you farther than force ever could. This is the Stoic way, not to conquer the world, but to conquer yourself. Because once you rule your own mind, nothing and no one can rule you. Soft ambient music begins visuals of twilight, waves reflecting golden light, the narrator's voice calm and reflective. You've walked through 12 Stoic rules, 12 principles that can reshape not just your thoughts, but the way you live, breathe, and face the world. Now the question is simple. Will you just listen to them, or will you live them? Because the true power of Stoicism isn't found in words. It's found in practice. In those quiet moments when no one is watching, when you choose patience over pride, discipline over desire, and virtue over comfort. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, take a moment to pause, reflect, and share it with someone who needs calm in the chaos. Subscribe so you can keep walking this path of strength, clarity, and self-mastery. Remember, you don't need to control the storm. You just need to master the way you sail through it. Music swells gently, fade to black. This is the Stoic path where philosophy meets life. End screen. Subscribe vertical bar, watch next. Vertical bar, live stoically.